Two brothers, one order, and a Warframe who was supposed to enforce it, but didn't. Welcome to the Warframe Archives. I'm Shinori, your Leverian keeper, and today we begin with our first entry, with Ash. The Codex describes Ash like this. A master of the killing arts, Ash is a formidable warrior. Swift and deadly, he slips between the shadows with ease. Short, cold, says almost nothing. But the Leverian says everything the Codex won't. Because Ash isn't just a ninja archetype dropped into the origin system. He is a patron saint of an organ assassination school, a living symbol of lethal perfection that an entire institution of killers shaped their identity around. And the story chooses preserves is the day their patron saint turned on them. The Scoria was an organ assassination institution. Not the kind of place you enrolled in, the kind of place you were taken to. Children selected for aptitude, for reflexes, for silence, for the specific psychological profile that lets a person end another person's life without hesitation, were brought to the Scoria and trained. Rigorously, completely, until the work was all that they knew and the people they trained alongside were the only family that they had. Every member of the Scoria bore a mark, a black jewel imprinted between their eyes. That jewel was not merely a symbol, that detail matters, remember it. And above all of them, their symbol, their standard, their reason for existing was Ash. The Scoria didn't just use Ash's method, they venerated him. He was their patron saint. Two of the Scoria's noteworthy students were Dom and Pelio Denas. Dom was exceptional, skilled, graceful, precise, everything the Scoria prized. Pelio was not as gifted. He lacked his brother's clarity, his brother's ease. He was capable, but always in Dom's shadow, and the shadow of a patron saint above them both. Then Dom made an unforgivable mistake. He was captured by his target. In the Scoria, capture by the enemy was not a failure of the mission, it was a sin, an existential violation. A member captured had compromised everything: identity, method, the institution's secrecy. There was only one response the Scoria recognized. Pelio was given the order to assassinate his brother. The assignment brought him to a tower in Martialis, Mars, where Dom was being held inside. But this mission had a chaperone. Ash himself was overseeing it. The patron saint of the Scoria, the Warframe their entire institution worshipped as the ideal, was there to ensure the order was carried out, to witness, to enforce. Because some tasks are too significant, too symbolic to leave to students alone. Pelio had his assignment, and he had his idol watching him. He had somewhere beneath the Scoria's conditioning a brother he had trained alongside his entire life. The guardsmen inside the tower numbered 50. Ash cleared them with a Costibo and dual Kamas, systematically, efficiently, leaving a trail through the tower's levels the way a blade leaves a trail through still water. No wasted motion, no hesitation. But Pelio was struggling. The fear had arrived, not the guards. The guards were dealt with before Pelio could reach them. Fear of what waited at the end of the corridor. Fear of the door at the top of the tower and what was behind it. He couldn't overcome it. The mission, the specific thing he had been sent to do, was beyond him. Ash led him forward anyway. They found Dom in civilian clothes, no armor, no weapons, seated casually sharing a glass of wine with a middle-aged man, mustachioed, with eyes described in the Leverian as both sad and kind. The black jewel between Dom's eyes was gone, removed, which in the Scoria's language meant only one thing. Dom had betrayed the institution, had chosen the way of a mark taken rather than carry it, had voluntarily severed himself from everything the Scoria was. The mustachioed man looked at Dom and Pelio and said, simply that they were his sons. He called them both his sons, gladly. Leo Dinas reached for a sidearm to defend them. He never got the chance to use it. Ash's bladestorm disarmed him before the weapon could be brought to bear. And then something happened that the Scoria had no doctrine for. Dom urged Pelio to ask, to question, and Pelio, confused, the fear transformed into something else now, something more like grief, asked Ash why. Ash answered by sinking his blade into Pelio's gem. The gem shattered, and with it something that had been locked inside Pelio's mind unlocked. The black jewels of the Scoria weren't only marks of membership, they were suppressants. They were actively suppressing the memories of Dom and Pelio Denas, who they were before the Scoria took them, where they came from, who had loved them. The mustachioed man, Leo Denas, with the sad, kind eyes wasn't a target's contact or a civilian caught in the wrong room. Leo Denas was their father. He had come to Martialis to take back what the Scoria had stolen. Not intelligence, not defectors, his sons. The boys who had been taken from him and turned, memory by memory, conditioning by conditioning, into instruments of an institution that treated people as resources to be repurposed. Ash let them go. The patron saint of the Scoria, the Warframe whose entire symbolic purpose to the institution was to embody perfect, unsentimental, lethal precision, watched the Denas family leave Mars and did not stop them. Why? Drusus admits he doesn't know. The Leverian doesn't record Ash's motivation. It records the action, the choice, the fact of a being whose entire reputation was built on enforcing an absolute standard, looking at two brothers who had been robbed of their identities and choosing, in that chamber, not to take anything else from them. What we do know, however, is when the collapse came, not even the Scoria senior members were spared. Ash turned on the institution that had venerated him, completely and without apparent hesitation. The patron saint of assassins decided what he was for, and it wasn't them. I would like to now go over Ash's kit and how I believe it ties to the story. Ash's kit is a masterclass in mechanical storytelling. Shuriken, a thrown blade that hits from range and strips armor. The opening move, the silent announcement. Smokescreen, a burst of smoke that renders him invisible and stuns nearby enemies. The disappearance, the Scoria's training made literal. Teleport, instant movement to any target, not retreat, redirection. Bladestorm, Ash marks targets and eliminates them one by one with spectral copies of himself. Sequential, precise, no wasted motion. The last ability carries a specific memory now. 50 guardsmen in a tower on Mars, a blade that could have ended two brothers, instead freeing them. Bladestorm as the instrument of the choice, used to clear the path, and then deliberately not use on the people it was supposed to target. In 1946, Jean-Paul Sartre gave a lecture called Existentialism is a Humanism. And in it, he said something that had been rattling around in philosophy classrooms ever since. Existence precedes essence. What I believe he meant by this was, you are not born in a fixed nature. You are not predefined by your origins, your upbringings, or the institution that shaped you. You exist first, and then, through your choices, you create what you are. The Organ built their empire on the opposite idea. They believed that if you could define a person's essence early and thoroughly enough, you can make their existence irrelevant. Take children, remove the memories that create loyalties you can't redirect. Install the gem, install the school, the saint, the symbol. If you shape the essence completely, existence just follows. Dom and Pelio Denaz are the proof of concept. Taken as children, stripped of their history, given a mission in place of a name. By the time their father tracks them to a tower on Mars, the logic of the institution is already coherent to them. The order has been issued. Dom made a choice that cost him everything, so Pelio must pay for it. The gem is just a mechanism that the Organ used, and then Ash destroyed it. Not for tactical reasons, not because the mission demanded it. He just looked at a boy with a stone between his eyes, a stone that had been there since childhood, taking things from him, and removed it. Sartre would call that a choice, and for Sartre, a choice is never just an action. Every time you act freely, you are making a statement about what you believe a person should be. You are, as he put it, choosing for all of humanity. When Ash broke that gem, he voted against the Organ's philosophy of human nature. He said a person is not reducible to their function. A boy is not the institution that took him. A father's sons belong to themselves. The Scoria worshipped Ash as proof that the essence can be manufactured, that you can engineer a perfect instrument out of a person if you start early enough and press hard enough. What he demonstrated quietly in a tower on Mars is that Sartre was right. You exist first, then you decide. And that is Ash, episode 1 of the Alphabet Archive. If this was new to you, if you didn't know the Leverian existed, if you've been playing Ash for years without knowing what was behind the blades, go find it. It's in the Orbiter. It's worth the visit. I'll see you in the next exhibit.